Hey, hi everyone. So we are back with our integration series. Today we'll cover another topic in continuation. So we'll talk about how to do the code coverage for the whatever code we have written to have that integration working. Right. So far we have seen REST API, get method integration with Jira from Salesforce to Jira. Right. So for code coverage, and we know this is very critical criteria, right? Whenever you want to deploy code from one org to another org, we need at least 75% of code coverage. Recommended is try to keep it as close as 100%, right? To always be on top of code coverage. So now there are two methods that we are going to talk, and we are going to see about this method, HTTP callout mock, and why we need that. Okay. So if you remember, right, we have seen how the integration happens, how things are flowing, how we are making a call out and getting the data. Okay, so say for example, this we have already seen, right? So I am requesting some data and I am getting that information. But this works fine when it's actual, call out. In case of tests, right, test class for code coverage, Salesforce doesn't allow any call going outside. That time it will throw an error, right? So if you try to cover, suppose your code is this one, right? So this is your Jira controller, where what we are doing is we have, as usual, right, the request, then the channel to send request over, and then we form that request, and then the response object where we collect the response when we send the request over HTTP channel, right? This much we are all clear with how we are using the URLs, how we are configuring the name credential for basic authentication, right? All those things are clear till this point, right now. So what we want to see is like how to do the code coverage for this. Since what Salesforce says, we don't allow any actual call out happening when it comes to test class. Now in general, what we do whenever we are writing a test class, we create a added is test see all data false, right? The test class, then we create a method from where we try to invoke the method or class or methods of the class where we want to do the code coverage. So when we invoke this method, what will happen, as a Salesforce standard practice, it will throw an error over here. So to address that, we have two methods, right? So one of them is using static resource for mock. Mock is nothing but you are using something dummy, right? That's where we call it as a mock. So or you can use a call out mock response. Okay, so this is an interface with which you can implement this interface and create a class. Okay, so how we can do that, I'll just quickly walk you through. So if you see here, what we need to do, we just need to create a class. Okay, test class, where we want to implement this http callout mock. Okay, then once you implement this, there are standard methods. Okay, so for my case, I'm just implementing a respond method, and there I am setting the header and the body, sample body I am putting. So how I am getting this body? So we have seen how we can use a postman to send the request, or if you can directly use this URL where you are logged in into Jira already. So I am here logged in, I can use this URL and I can hit, it gives me this response. I can copy this response and paste it in the JSON formatter. Okay, so when I paste it in the JSON formatter, on the left hand side it will give me the formatted data. So when I look at this data, right, this will give me the structure in which I am getting the response. So I can use whatever response that suits my requirement, right? I can just use this one only for response. So it's up to us. If you see in the fields, what we are using or what I am using is just description and the summary field. Okay, just those two fields. There are various other things like attachment, case comments, all those things associated with that issue which we are working with, right? And if you want to get details around this, you can always go to the Salesforce threaded. There they have very nicely explained both the things, which you can practice as well with the hands on. Okay, so there is one of this is static resource, and other one is your http callout mock, which we are just looking at, right? So now if I go to the code, now I have prepared this using implementing this callout mock. I have set the body which I am expecting as a in the return, right? Now what I'll need to do is in the test class I need to set this line. This is important. This line tells Salesforce that whatever callout is happening after this within this test class, it will not go outside of Salesforce, but it will look up to this and get the response from here. Okay, it's that's where we call it as a mock. It is not actually going across the Salesforce boundary. It is within the Salesforce. You are getting the response from here. I hope this is clear, right? Because we are not actually going outside. We are just mocking that response. And then when I do a call out, I know I am getting response in this format. So I can just put the asset and I can get those code coverage. So if I run this, now if I go to here, let me open that test. Okay, there are various ways to run the test class. I'll just use this shortcut, right? So if I run this test, if I don't push this call set mock, it will throw an exception. Now this has run successfully, right? So I'll just go here and check for code coverage. So all tests. Now see, this is giving me the code coverage for my class. Only one of the line is not getting covered because there is no exception as such, right? So all the lines are almost like 90% code is getting covered. So this is very important whenever you are working with any of the tasks with respect to callouts. It may be REST, SOAP, or any callout using basic OAuth or any other OAuth, right? Basic authentication or any OAuth authentication or JWT. While you are working on this, make sure that you have the thing in the back of your mind that we need to do the code coverage, and for code coverage, one of the method is using your mock, HTTP mock. Okay, so that's how you can do the code coverage. Now how we can parse this, whatever response we are getting. So we have seen a very huge response right here. Whatever response we have got, we just try to see it here, right? So how we can access, suppose I want to access three four fields, or access this field or this field, how we can easily access that? What are the different ways of accessing that, right? Which thing can make our life easy, because we are habituated to using SQL, getting that response and just using it using dot operator, right? So how we can do that using this way, I'll just show you what thing I'm going to cover in the next one of the next session. That will be how we can use JSON deserialize. Okay, and then it will be very easy to access any of the things from the response. This will make our life easy, right? Using this wrapper classes, that can be very easily done. But this is, believe me, this is very important aspect. You should not you should not be missing this, right? You don't want to miss this, because this needs to be implemented to make your life easy, or make our life easy as a developer. Okay, I hope this is useful. Code coverage is always required. Be mindful about writing that test class. You can explore around the other method with this, right? Trailhead Apex integration services. This has end-to-end details, right? So you can go through this, do the hands-on. If you have any queries, question, you can always post it. Okay, thank you. I'll stop here.